Some people miss video game worlds more than real places, not just the games. The worlds themselves, the cities, the landscapes, the music, the feeling of being there. Years later, a player can hear a single soundtrack and instantly feel homesick for a place that never existed. And strangely enough, that feeling is completely real. Because your brain doesn't care whether an experience happened in a physical world or a digital one. It cares how that experience made you feel. Which is why millions of people have felt emotional leaving a game, finishing a story, or logging out for the last time. Some virtual worlds become more than entertainment. They become memories, and sometimes they become impossible to forget. Real life is complicated, progress is slow, goals take months, sometimes years. You can work hard and still fail. You can do everything right and still get unlucky. The real world is unpredictable, and that's exhausting. Video games work differently. Every challenge has a purpose. Every obstacle has a solution. Every mission moves you forward. The rules are clear, the objectives are visible, and progress is constant. Even small actions create rewards. You level up, unlock new abilities, earn achievements, discover new locations. The game is constantly telling you you're moving forward. Real life rarely provides that kind of feedback, and that's one reason games feel so satisfying. They create a world where effort and reward are closely connected, something many people wish existed outside the screen. Human beings are wired to seek progress. For thousands of years, progress meant survival, finding food, building shelter, learning new skills. The brain evolved to reward achievement. Modern games tap directly into that system. Every completed mission, every experience point, every unlocked item, every victory, they all trigger small feelings of accomplishment. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between important progress and game progress. It simply recognizes achievement. That's why finishing a difficult boss fight can feel genuinely rewarding. Why earning a rare item feels exciting. Why reaching a new level feels meaningful. The emotions are real, even if the world is virtual. Over time, many players develop emotional attachments to certain games, not because of mechanics, not because of graphics, because of comfort. Think about returning to a favorite game after years away. The music feels familiar, the locations feel familiar, the characters feel familiar. It's similar to revisiting a childhood neighborhood. The world becomes associated with safety, predictability, routine. And unlike reality, game worlds rarely change. The same town is still there. The same soundtrack still plays. The same sunsets still happen exactly when you remember them. In a world that's constantly changing, that consistency becomes powerful. For some people, a game world feels like a place they can always return to, no matter what happens in real life. The most memorable games do something remarkable. They convince your brain that you are there, not physically, emotionally, when you explore a massive fantasy kingdom, survive in a post-apocalyptic city, or travel through a futuristic galaxy. Your brain begins building memories. Researchers have found that imagined experiences and real experiences often activate similar brain systems. The brain creates emotional maps. It remembers places, stories, people, even when those places never existed. That's why players can feel nostalgia for a fictional city or sadness when leaving a digital world. The location wasn't real, but the experience was, and that's what the brain remembers. One reason game worlds become unforgettable has nothing to do with the worlds themselves. It's the people. Many players spent years exploring virtual worlds with friends, talking late into the night, completing missions together, competing, laughing, building memories. Sometimes those friendships became incredibly important. In some cases, people met lifelong friends through games, even romantic partners. The brain doesn't label those experiences as less real. It stores them like any other meaningful memory. Years later, opening an old game can feel emotional, not because of the graphics, because it reminds players of people who were once part of their lives. And sometimes those people are gone, but the world remains. For some people, video games provided something they couldn't easily find elsewhere: control. In real life, many situations are beyond our control. School, work, relationships, stress, uncertainty. Games offer an alternative, a place where rules make sense, a place where effort usually matters, a place where failure is temporary. For people experiencing loneliness, anxiety, or difficult periods of life, that can be incredibly comforting. The game becomes more than entertainment. It becomes a refuge, a place where things feel manageable. And the emotional safety associated with that experience can become deeply ingrained. Many players know a strange feeling. You finish an amazing game, the credits roll, and suddenly you feel empty. Not because the game was bad, because it ended. Psychologists sometimes compare this to the emotions people feel after finishing a great book or television series. You've spent dozens, sometimes hundreds of hours inside a world. You've learned its rules, its characters, its stories. Then suddenly, it's over. The routine disappears. The world disappears. And your brain reacts as though something meaningful has been lost. Because in many ways, it has. A chapter of your life just ended, even if it existed only on a screen. Years pass. Technology improves, new games arrive, better graphics, larger worlds, more features. Yet certain games remain unforgettable, not because they were perfect, but because they arrived at the perfect moment in someone's life. The memories become attached to the world itself, and that emotional connection becomes almost impossible to replace. Some people miss video game worlds more than real places, and psychologically, that makes perfect sense. Because the brain doesn't remember places based on whether they were real, it remembers them based on how they made us feel. And sometimes, a world made of pixels, music, and code can leave memories just as powerful as reality itself.